Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Warden Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I am going to be taking my first dive into Mothership RPG and the player survival guide. So this is going to be episode 1 in a series of episodes covering the player survival guide, and then I will move on to the Warden's Guide, and then the Shipbuilder's Guide, and then the other supplemental materials that came along with the box set. So I will be linking the video that I made of the box opening of this so that you can kind of see where this is all going to begin and move forward. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So I'm starting off with this here. This is the player's guide, and it's a fairly short document. It is only roughly 44 pages long, and so something that's very easy to jump right into and learn the system. It has, and I'll show you the PDF version of this as well. Some of the things that I like about about the way that they put this together is that right here on the back is a panel that says how to play Mothership, and then there are, it's a single page that you can easily copy and then hand out to each of the players so that they can, so they can get the very basics of the, of how to play the game. And so I think that's really important that publishers put the back panel of their books or even their box sets or whatever, even if it's a hardcover, make the back panel something that is usable by the player and not just further item description or or the table of contents that is inside the book. Make it where it's very easy to photocopy and hand out. So good to see that. So that's a big positive of this. And so let's move on, and we'll see what other, innovative or just smart moves they make in putting together this booklet. Okay, so here we have Mothership, the sci-fi horror RPG. So this is very much in the genre of like Aliens, all right? So, the movie franchise Aliens. And so this is kind of piggybacking off of that. And I will expand so you can see. So some interesting, and useful panels right up front. Again, with the PDF, although I wish this wasn't, black with white type, but vice versa. If you want to print this out, it makes it much more ink friendly. So another thing I would just like to point out that they could have done a little differently there. So here we have how to make your character. So welcome to Mothership, the sci-fi horror RPG, where you and your crew try to survive the most inhospitable environment in the universe, outer space. Excavate dangerous derelict ships, explore strange unknown worlds, encounter hostile alien life, and escape the horrors encroaching upon your every move. Let's get started. All right, and so the sheet is on the back of this booklet, has the instructions for how to create your character. And so step 1, you're going to do your rolling stats, right? And stats are 2d10, add them together, and then add 25 to that. So that's going to give you a range of 27 to 45. A stat of 36 is average, but don't get too hung up on the numbers right now. Step 2 is rolling saves. Your character has 3 saves: sanity, fear, and body. Those are rolled 2d10 sided, plus you're going to add 10. And so the average of that is going to be, what are we looking at? We're looking at 30, so the average should be 15. And so here we start taking a look at a character here. and the character here has a strength, a speed, and intelligence, and or intellect and combat ability, sanity, fear, and body. And you can see all of these are 2d10 plus 10 is 30. Yeah, so divided by, so the average should be a 15. So very high fear stats and saving throws here. The other stats, 36, pretty decent. One above, two, one slightly below, two second above, and one marginally below. So not too bad. Choose your class. So you have Marines, androids, scientists, and teamsters. And then you have your class skills that you can select. So you can either buy skills or you can select a package. So either or you want to do. So note class skills bonuses. Let me expand on this here. To take a Marine or expert skill, you must first take at least one of its prerequisite skills. So this person here is a teamster. We can see this character is being rolled up as a teamster. So we'll see how that comes along. So industrial equipment is 0G, bonus 1 training skill and 1 expert skill. And you can see the trained skills, botany, industrial equipment 0G, and the expert skill, which is a plus 15 bonus, is piloting. So this person is a teamster and a pilot. Step 4 is to roll for health. It's 1d10, adding 10, record the result for maximum health. Typically, probably like most other game systems, you're going to start with maximum health at first level if that's the way that it works. Generally speaking, that's what you should probably do. Note trauma response. Each class deals with stress and panic differently, which comes to play later in the game. Mark trauma response to your future reference. Choosing your skills. To choose a skill, you must have at least one prerequisite skill, a skill that has an arrow pointing at them. So the prerequisite skills, let's see. Interesting, I don't see. Oh, there they are. So here are the arrows. They're kind of tight. So linguistics, you cannot take psychology unless you have linguistics. You see how the arrow goes to psychology. So that's where the arrows they're talking about are. So you see 0G. You need 0G in order to be a pilot. All right. Roll loadout, trinket, and patch. So you can roll those out, or you might be able to select. You roll for your health. I already talked about that. And then finishing. Write the character name, pronouns, and mark a 0 or above high score. You are now ready to play Mothership. Now, I did download the, on the app, they have an app for this on Apple Play, and so I downloaded that. And the one thing that I came across, which is kind of silly, is that you can't even finalize the character unless you put a pronoun. I don't see why they feel the need to do that. I created a Marine, and his pronoun is Gunny, as in gunnery sergeant. So it's kind of silly. It really is. And if there was any kind of a delay caused by doing that kind of nonsense, then it was an unnecessary delay in the Kickstarter. Credits are primary currency or Mothership, and as noted as follows. So you basically have the breakdown of how many credits they are, so 100 credits equals 100 credits. 1 point KR credits equals 2.5 thousand. 2M or MC are millions, and Bs are billions. Starting credits, characters get to start 2d10 times 10 credits in addition to their starting loadout. If you want to forgo starting loadout and buy gear piecemeal, roll 2d10 times 100 for starting credits. And here we have the loadouts. So here is so loadouts contain the weapons, armor, and other gear characters start with. Roll d10 on the appropriate table to determine starting loadout, and then record that on your character sheet. Some are better than others, but all of them are useful in the hands of a desperate person. Underlying items are not described in the equipment section. Use common sense to determine their use. So let's see. So here's a Marine loadout. Like I said, I created a Marine loadout. And so a tank top and camel pants. See how it's underlined? Use your common sense. A combat knife, you kind of know what it is. It doesn't have to be listed. It's as a scalpel plus to damage. And then stim packs times 5. Those are really quite expensive. So if you start off with 5 stim packs, you're starting off pretty good. Yeah, so some of these loadouts are actually pretty decent and probably better than what I did when I rolled up and bought randomly. So I know I ended up with I would have picked some of these loadouts instead, and I would probably let the player pick their loadout since they're technically supposed to be equal within the loadout. So androids, we have this. So a screwdriver, you don't need stats for a screwdriver. Use your common sense. A jump 9 ticket is a destination blank. So I don't know how that relates. It's probably like a passenger ticket or something that they just happen to have, and you can determine what that is later on. So trinkets. Roll on this table during character creation to find a random trinket. May it bring you good luck out there in the void, or at least give you something to talk about on your next shore leave. So the trinket that I rolled up on my random character generation was a golden rat statue. So so that could really become something a part of a role play or something along those lines, or just give the character some kind of an interesting twist to him. So I'll certainly encourage people to do that and to build it into their basic character background. Why is that item important? So patches, I know the patch that I had rolled up was, fix me, fix me first or something like that. So I'm sure that there'll be some things in here. They should really get away from any kind of real world political kind of nonsense. Like I noticed here, and this is the first time I'm seeing eat the rich is a charged political statement. So there's probably others that are in here that that they should have really not considered using. That's the first one that I noticed right off the bat. And real quick glance, this is the first time I'm looking at it. And so this is the one I ended up with. Well, fix me first. But equipment, so you go into the equipment chart here and gives you the cost. So remember, you could start with a starter pack, and then you're rolling for additional credits that you can use and buy some other items that you're looking to that you'll think will help you out. Like I grabbed a body cam, I grabbed a first aid kit, and I believe I grabbed one other item. I was actually short on getting a rucksack, which I would have liked to have had, but I was 25 credits short of getting a rucksack. Pets, I skipped over this in creation, but you can start with a pet, but they're really quite expensive, to be honest with you. So, so something that you might want to build yourself up for later on. I ended up taking a firearm, obviously, and I took one of these. I took a pulse rifle, as part of my pack, so it didn't cost me this 2.4 thousand credits. It cost me nothing taking it as a pack. Um, I mean, I might have gone with a pistol instead, but that wasn't one of the choices on the selection. So I just went with the rifle. I'll pick up a pistol later because it's not as expensive anyway. Um, so tons of gear. So now armor. You have the headlamp. You have the heads-up display, short-range comms. It kind of tells you where the various things go. So that's pretty cool. I like that graphic that they show you where it does. So armor is 10 plus uh, armor points are 10. Combat heavy attire for off-world engagements. Heavy speed checks at minus. Damage reduction at 3. And they give you various stats. So standard crew attire is only 1 armor point. Coveralls, leather jacket, basic clothing, assumed to be worn by all crew members. Standard battle dress is the one that I took as a light padded armor. Standard dress for all Marines or combat mercenaries. Vac suit is a 3, so I went with the Carter Tactical standard combat dress. Safety instructions. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit so I can see what's coming up ahead. So Mothership can be a very challenging game. You should expect a character to die, violence to be punishing, the odds to be stacked against you, to make difficult choices, to pay attention, and a safe play environment. This is a horror game and it can deal with many uncomfortable topics. It's your responsibility to make sure you're not making anyone at your table uncomfortable with your words and actions, both in and out of character, and to speak up if you feel uncomfortable or if you notice anything else might be uncomfortable. Listen, this is handled in session 0. When you tell someone that they're playing in a sci-fi horror RPG and you're dealing with anyone that is 13 or over, or even older than that, if you're dealing with a table full of 18 plus or 17 plus individuals, age individuals, then they kind of know what they're buying into when they're sitting down at the table and sitting down for a sci-fi horror. Tell them to watch Aliens, and if they have a problem with aliens, then this is not the game for them. I mean, that's the bottom line. Now, Aliens is obviously it's a rated R movie, and so you might want to not consider this for even the 13 plus crowd. This might be, a 17 plus, or even an 18 and over game as well. That way you can actually really capture what the theme of this game is. So again, safe play environment is kind of unnecessary. Just come out and say this game is really designed for, and thematically so for 18 plus, and you're fine. You can attempt to do anything you want. You can ask a lot of questions. The more information you have, the less you have to make risky rolls like stat checks and saves. I would not just say risky rolls, but just unnecessary rolls. And you do eventually want to limit the number of questions you're asking. It's incumbent upon the player before they start playing. That's why you have a session 0 and everything. And usually a session 0 takes place a week or more before you're actually playing. The player is going to create their character in session 0, get some of the background information, learn the basic rules and everything, and then you're going to explain to the player, all right, next week when we come together, make sure that you fully understand everything that your character is able to do. All right, understand, some of the things that they might be able to do that aren't on their character sheet, but at least know the rules of what you're going to attempt to do, and that way you don't have to ask that question, hey, what die roll do I, what dice do I need to roll for this? That should never be a question that's happening at the table. Not if you had a fully functioning session 0 where you kind of went over the rules of the game, and then there's been a span of time in between that session 0 and the first session of gameplay. They're going to go into more details here about about how to make certain various checks and such. So that's very good. Dice notation, so they tell you what the dice means. So the D100, the D10, panic dice. Use a 20-sided die called the panic die. Use this only to make panic checks. And then player supplies checklist. That's kind of interesting. So they're saying that every player should have a copy of the player's survival guide, a character sheet, a D20, a D100, some tokens. They're optional, but for tracking ammo, supplies, pen and paper, and snacks if they wish to. But not a bad idea. The player's survival guide is something that that you might be able to just either share it around your table or just excerpt certain sections from it, especially if you have the PDF, and just hand the players the parts that they actually need to play their particular character. So I would almost make like a character sheet that has on the back of it like a generic character sheet, but then on the back it'll have Marines, right? And so everything that the Marine can do on the back of it, and then you hand it to a player who wants to play a Marine character and do it that way. And you do that with each of the character classes. Saving checks and saving rolls. I'm going to actually get into this part later on. Let me see if there was a table of contents that I skipped over. Because I am going to chunk this down. Because now, once we get the saving throws and everything, we're starting to get into actual gameplay and outside of character creation. So there wasn't a table of contents there. There might be one at the very end. So let's see if there is. There's a character sheet. Contractors. No. So no table of contents for this book. Interesting that they don't have it set up that way. But I'm going to cut it off there anyway, and we will come back to here. All the way back here. Sorry about that. So far, I mean, I just went through just a few pages, and you already have a fully fleshed out character. So this is very, very fast, in my opinion, as far as character creation is concerned. And if the game is as lethal as they're putting it, you want to have a fast character generation system, because they may have to make replacement characters, fairly quickly. You might also, and I know this has been a recent hubbubaloo over, on Twitter and elsewhere, and among some YouTube channels, you might want to have some backup characters set up just in case your character does, get killed that quickly. Remember the very first statement. Remember, your character is going to die, or is likely to die in this game. And so having backup characters does not strip that character of its importance when you're creating it. Especially if you spend a week thinking about the character between session 0 and session 1 when you're actually playing. It just means that you're valuing the time that the entire table is coming together, and you're not allowing yourself and your character having been killed to take away from everyone else. It's when you're on a ship, it's much easier to just have, every crew member, which is the 5 primary. Let's say there's 5 primary players. And they each have their primary characters, and then another couple of crew members that are not fully fleshed out, at least in the narrative that is being created. They're kind of behind the scenes, and so you might have 15 individuals on the ship, but only 5 are the focal point. That way, if any one of them, dies, any one of those characters die, or is otherwise incapacitated, the player can easily take, the character that he or she created and bring it out of the background and come right into the gameplay without any real slowdown of the game session. All right, again, it doesn't strip the original character of any importance. It is making the time commitment that everybody at the table made paramount. All right, of the highest consideration. I've heard others say that, hey, when your player character dies, the player has to step away from the table. All right, and they can go away and make a new character and then come back, but they're going to miss out because that character was not present in the time that continued going forward, and so wouldn't have any context or understanding of what happened during that time. So that's a little bit of a side issue from actually going over Mothership and its initial, this initial video. But I will deal a little bit with that more so later on when we get into the actual game mechanics, and then we'll talk about the survival, effects of combat wounds and survival and sanity and all the other things that might come into play as far as the attrition rate of the player characters, on a particular ship. So hope you enjoyed this video, and looking forward to keep on, diving into this. If you've already run this, you're looking to play this, feel free to put in comments in the comments section. If you have anything you want to point out to me, like if you're already, through this, and say, hey, focus on this, please feel free to do that as well. As always, if you disagree with me on any point, you're welcome to say that you disagree, and just go into a little bit of detail so that maybe we can have a conversation about it. And as always, please consider to like and subscribe and share, and as always, comment. And I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a gaming table sometime soon. You'll all have a great rest of your day and week, and I'll be seeing you around. Thanks for coming.